You're saying only economic sanctions, not a military threat that should be on the table. Is that what you're saying?
I think this is the clear path. I think no president, no responsible president would ever take any option off the table.
What about that, Senator Biden? You're the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. If you got word from the U.S. intelligence community that Ahmadinejad and his government were on the verge of having a nuclear bomb capable of hitting targets in the region on missiles, what would you do?
Well, first of all, I would do away with the policy of regime change. What we're saying to everybody in Iran is, look, by the way, give up the one thing that keeps us from attacking you, and after that, we're going to attack you. We're going to take you down. It's a bizarre notion, number one. Number two, understand how weak Iran is. They are not a year away or 2 years away. They're a decade away from being able to weaponize exactly what the question was. If they put a nuclear weapon on top of a missile that can strike. They're far away from that. Number three, in fact, we have to understand how weak that government is. They import almost all of the refined oil. By 2014, they're going to be importing their crude oil. There's much better ways, if we had to get to the point of doing real sanctions, of doing economic sanctions on them forcefully that way. But at the end of the day, if they posed a missile, stuck it on a pad, I'd take it out.
All right, Senator, thank you for that. Let's go back to Jennifer.
Okay, well, thank you. Matthew Mazur, how are you?
Hi, fine, thank you.
You're a faculty here.
Yeah, I'm a professor of history.
And you live in Concord, New Hampshire?
I do.
What is your question tonight?
A number of the candidates have talked about alliance building, and I wanted to ask about a specific country. The U.S. has had close relations with Pakistan as part of the war in Afghanistan and part of the war on terror. How do you reconcile our security interest with Pakistan with our interest in promoting liberal democracy? Pakistan is not a democratic country.
Let's throw that question to Senator Clinton.
Well, it's a really important question because we have been supporting Pakistan through President Musharraf now for a number of years. And it is clear that he has not moved toward democracy, but has solidified his rule and become quite anti-democratic with his removal of the Chief Justice and many of the other moves that he's taken. At the same time, we depend upon him to try to control the tribal areas, out of which come the resurgent Taliban and al-Qaeda fighters who cross the border into Afghanistan. Again, this is an area where I think the United States needs to be just focused like the proverbial laser. When I was in Pakistan and Afghanistan in January, I met with both President Karzai and President Musharraf, and I asked them if it would help to have a high-level presidential envoy working with both of them to try to figure out how we can move toward what are American interests and how we can keep Pakistan from undermining the war against the Taliban and al-Qaeda. And unfortunately, when I got back and I called the White House and I made this suggestion, it fell on deaf ears. So there's a lot we need to do, and it's a very difficult, thorny problem how to address it.
Congressman Kucinich, if you were president of the United States and the intelligence community said to you, we know where Osama bin Laden is. He's in Pakistan. We've got the specific target, but he's only going to be there for 20 minutes. You got to give the order, yes or no, to take him out with a Hellfire missile, but it's going to kill some innocent civilians at the same time. What would be your decision?
I don't think that a president of the United States who believes in peace and who wants to create peace in the world is going to be using assassination as a tool, because when you do that, it comes back at your country. And I think that Osama bin Laden, if he's still alive, ought to be held to account in an international court of law. And so should any other person who's been involved in a violation of international law, which has resulted in the deaths of many people. And so I think that an America which has a strong stand morally in the world is an America that shows a way to get to peace, and an America that stands for peace is a strong country. So I would say, to answer that question, I don't believe in assassination politics, and when you do that, you inevitably bring the assassination of our own leaders into play.
Senator Obama, you want to respond?
Well, I think Dennis is right that I don't believe in assassinations, but Osama bin Laden has declared war on us, killed 3,000 people, and under existing law, including international law, when you've got a military target like bin Laden, you take him out. And if you have 20 minutes, you do it swiftly and surely. And it's unfortunate that I think during the initial push into Afghanistan that we let him slip away because we were distracted. One thing that I want to talk about with respect to both Pakistan and the various problems in the region, including Iran. Our presence in Iraq is weakening our capacity to deal with these issues and fanning anti-American sentiment in such a way that it makes it more difficult for Musharraf to work with us effectively. If people in Pakistan believe that the U.S. is an occupying force, it makes us more subject to the kinds of difficulties that we're seeing in Pakistan
I just
right
want
now.
everybody to raise their hand and tell me if you agree that if the U.S. had intelligence that could take out Osama bin Laden and kill him, even though some innocent civilians would die in the process, would you, as president, authorize such an operation? If you would, raise your hand.
It would depend on how many innocent civilians.
Yeah, I mean,
die.
part of this is one of these
That's not enough
hypotheticals,
information.
Wolf, that is
Not enough
very
information.
difficult to answer in the abstract. You know, my husband actually tried to take out bin Laden. You know, he did fire missiles at a training camp that we had intelligence that that's where bin Laden was, because by that time, bin Laden had already bombed our embassies. Bin Laden had already demonstrated his hostility toward the United States. But you can't just, you have to be very careful about how you proceed. So, you know, yes, if we could do it without a tremendous amount of collateral damage, I think maybe with one or two exceptions, we would give the order to do it, knowing what a weighty responsibility that